On today's Locked On Nationals, we are joined by Bobby Blanco from MASNsports.com. You can catch him over on Nats Extra pre and post game. We're going to be getting into the Nationals offense and more kind of specific. What's going on with Dylan Crews?
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as our show page at LO_Nationals for all your latest Nationals news and notes. Make sure to check us out over on Twitter. And of course, look up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcast, whether it's on Apple, Spotify, and of course, over on YouTube as well for the video version of this said podcast. And on today's show, we are joined by our good friend of the program, Bobby Blanco from MASNsports.com. Bobby, how are you today, my friend?
I'm great, Ryan. Thanks for having me back. It was fun seeing you and the boys on opening day about a week ago.
It was
a little over a week ago. So, yeah, no, good to be back on the show.
I know. If this was Locked On Terps, I mean, I think we could tee you up and you would talk for 30 minutes about how much you hate Kevin Willard. But because we both talked about it on the opening day, we we're like, man, this Maryland game tonight, it's going to be a fun one. Unfortunately, they lost. So
I can't believe that was only a week ago.
It was only a week ago. I know. It's so many things have happened since in the land of the Terps. But Bobby, we got some business to deal with today. The Nationals are 1-5 on the year. They have the Diamondbacks later on tonight, and it's going to be a big series. You're 1-5. Like, I'm not going to say it's must win. You're 6 games in, but still, you got to win some games here and there. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on in today's program. But before we get into the offensive discussion here, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. And download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So, Bobby, we're gonna talk about this offense on a 30,000 foot scale here.
Okay,
but I want to hone in on one particular player, and that's Dylan Crews at this point. I think as of right now, in the struggles that Dylan Crews has had, it's really not like that surprising. And I'm not saying that he's not going to get a hit. Yes, I expect him to get hits. But I think there needs to be a recalibration of expectations for Dylan Crews. I think Dylan Crews is a good hitter. I think Dylan Crews is a great defender. Overall, I think Dylan Crews could be a 6-WAR kind of player in Major League Baseball. But I think the fact that people coming out of the draft here, we thought that he was going to be batting 300, having a 900 OPS, and kind of have Anthony Rendon numbers, not out of the gate. And he still could be that. But I think with these concerns over the years, not hitting breaking pitches, not hitting off speed, only really being able to hit fastballs, he has not been able to hit at a consistent rate since he was in Fredericksburg for that week that he was there, the 2 weeks he was there. I think people at this point in time, the concerns surrounding him, I think they're legit.
So the concerns being he's a bust?
No, I'm not going to say a bust. But I think the expectations of Dylan Crews being that stud hitter who's going to be a Silver Slugger every single year that a lot of people expected. He was the best college hitter in nearly a decade. He was a stud. But also, if you look at the numbers, this guy killed fastballs. He did not hit breaking pitches all that well at LSU. He has not done that throughout his minors. And in his short time in the majors, he has not adjusted to that yet. I think that is going to be a big concern for him moving forward.
I think that's a fair concern. And yeah, it hasn't, just you got to be completely honest. It hasn't been pretty to start, right? 0 for 18, 10 strikeouts, 5 of which came in one game, a stretch of 8 in a row between Saturday and Sunday. And 5 of those 8 all came on 3 pitches. So it's not good, right?
It's not good.
I think I'm going to point to one stat that I think might challenge you to pump your brakes.
Okay.
The number's 36. That's how many major league games Dylan Cruz has played in.
Yeah.
I think we can relax for a little bit for now. Like, let's see what he looks like when that number is at least above 50. You know, like it's a fickle thing, right? Because James Wood has only played what now 80 games in the majors, and we're like already calling him. He's gonna be one of the best hitters in the league. He's got Juan Soto, type eyes at the plate, opposite field power out the wazoo, all that stuff. And now here Dylan has less than half, and we're already saying, well, he might not be that good. I just think like baseball is such a difficult sport, and probably baseball more than any other sport. Sample size matters. Like, it's so small right now. And I think you can even take your point and expand it to his time at AAA, his early time at AA, and you add all his whole professional career. That's a better sample size. But then you're talking about him going, think about it. Over the last 2 years, literally less than 2 years, he's gone from college to rookie ball to single A, skipped high A, AA, AAA, majors. Less than 24 months he's done that. That is a lot of different levels of play for one player, and not any player, not just, the guy who was the number 2 overall pick and, was the best college bat coming out of that draft. So I don't know. I think, yes, while it has not been pretty, and he definitely needs to figure some stuff out, hitting everything but the fastball, like you mentioned, being main one of them. I just think we can wait a little bit on Dylan Cruz. I've heard people like you, not like you, but have had similar reactions to this start. One of them being one of my very close friends who is pretty close to I don't know if he's serious, but close to giving up on Dylan. And it's like, dude,
I'm not there yet. You
can't do it after 36 games.
Yeah. And let me hone this back in for you real quick, because yes, I do think I kind of jumped the guns a little bit, and it is early on. I'm not saying that I'm giving up on him, but I'm trying to think of a player who, just stat-wise, off the top of my dome, I think you might overall in his career, hitting-wise at this point, expect Jason Worth kind of numbers. Couple-time All-Star. I believe he's won a Silver Slugger. Good all-around player that you want on your team that will get an extension, that will be a very good baseball player. But I think that the expectations coming out of the draft were all-world hitter. So he's going to come in, he's going to win a couple batting titles, he's going to hit for a little bit of power, he's going to do everything and do everything great. His defense has been phenomenal. And if you remember, Bobby, people did talk about his defense, but it really wasn't to this extent. He is a stud in the outfield. Yeah. Great arm, covers ground well, he can steal bases on the base. He does everything right. But number one, the thing that the Nationals took him for was his hitting ability, and it just has not showed up to this point in time. And yes, it is early. Yes, it's your 36 games in the majors at this point. It's way too early to declare anything at this moment in time. But I do think some of these concerns are real. These are data points that have suggested that he has not been able to catch up to breaking ball pitches and off-speed pitches. And now you're starting to see it up in the big leagues. And that part is just kind of concerning. And yes, while he is 0 for 15 at this point, let's talk about game 3 in the Blue Jays game. He should have had a hit. He had 3 balls that were in play, his 3 at-bats against the Blue Jays, where it was expected batting average of 400 or above. You would think, and 2 of those were above 500. He had a couple rockets in there. Bo Bichette made a great play up the middle. He was laughing about it, because it's just one of those things where it's this guy couldn't buy a hit. He just cannot get any sort of luck at this point in time. So maybe it all does click, and maybe he gets like a torpedo bat, and all of a sudden he's a stud. I mean, there are things out there at this point, but I do think overall, like the voice in the back of my head of saying maybe he's not an all-world hitter. They're coming up, and they're coming up quick for me.
Baseball would be like that sometimes. So I guess to kind of rephrase my answer as it pertains to more specifically your question is I'm not quite ready to reel in my expectations for him. Because again, we talked about this, I think, when I joined the show before spring training, and you and I both agree, we don't want to put expectations on this guy. James too, a little bit more, but specifically Dylan, for this exact reason. You don't want him, and I hope that Dylan isn't feeling this right now, but you don't want him feeling like he's not meeting expectations. So then he starts pressing even more and it gets even more out of control. Right. So, I guess whatever minimal expectations I did have for him that I kind of set in my mind, I'm not ready to recalibrate those based on 5 games this year and 36 games in his major league career. And just for the record, Jackson Holliday, former number 1 overall pick, number 1 prospect in baseball, through his first 36 games in the majors, was terrible.
Awful.
And that's, I say that as a MASN employee, and that there's just no other way to describe it. He went 0 for his first 30 and then hit 169 through those first 36 games. Wyatt Langford only hit 222 through his first 36 games. It is hard to adjust to the major leagues when you've only had a minimal amount of experience at the higher levels of the minors. Dylan got promoted to AAA last year. I have his page right here in front of me, so let's see how many games he played in AAA. He has played 49 games in AAA, so he's almost played as many major league games as he has AAA games. That's a big jump. We always talk about how, in terms of the farm system, the biggest jump is from single A to double A, but then once you move from either double A, triple A to the majors, it's leaps and bounds harder.
100%.
So, I think that, this is not uncommon, and it's still so early. He's only played 5 of the 6 games, so I'm not quite ready to adjust my whatever expectations I have for him just yet. I would talk about what does he need to do differently, and that is, like you said, hitting anything that's not a fastball. His defense has been spectacular. The one time he got on base via a walk, he stole a bag. That's good. And the other things too. I know we don't want to put too much stock in spring training numbers, but he had a good spring.
He did.
And I think one of the factors of the spring training was he was hitting non-fastballs. Now, was he hitting it off of the Astros, not even top 30 prospect that's going to be a single A this year late in the game? Maybe. I don't remember specifically, but he was hitting non-fastballs in spring training, and he had a good spring. So I just think right now, coming out of the gate, it has been difficult for him. There is an adjustment that needs to be made, obviously. I think also, just looking back specifically at those strikeouts over the weekend, one, a lot of those were spot-on pitches. I watched all of those at-bats again. No one's hitting that stuff.
Yeah.
Some of those pitches were absolutely painted against him. And then when you were a young hitter and you're falling down 0-1, 0-2, of course you're going to press. And you're thinking, I got to put the ball in play. I got to do something. And you've already kind of locked in. This is where I think he needs to get away from is I've already locked into my mind. I'm swinging at the next pitch no matter what because I need a battle here. And the opposing pitcher can pick up on that. And that's why they're throwing it in the dirt. And that's why he whiffed. And that's why I looked bad. So all that to say is I'm not ready to adjust my expectations for him. But there definitely needs to be a major adjustment, even though we're only 5 or he's only played 5 games so far.
Yeah. And I think even then, Dylan Cruz is a slice of this pie when it comes to the Nationals' offensive struggles at this point, Bobby. And let's be honest, this Nationals offense has not been great. No. Let's discuss that. after we tell people about my good friends over at Supply House and get the supplies that you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. And whether you're plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Enjoy the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Now, let me tell people about our friends over at Just Ingredients. And when it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. And Just Ingredients has also partnered with two-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF-certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. And I love that Just Ingredients prioritizes wholesome, nourishing ingredients without the artificial junk. And I just got their pre-workout. I use it now every single morning before I go into workout, and I feel great. I feel energized, and I feel ready to go tackle that workout. So visit justingredients.us and use code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off. And for more wellness tips, follow at just.ingredients on Instagram. Now we jump back into it with Bobby Blanco from MASNsports.com. And Bobby, the Nationals, I think they've got some issues offensively. And it's only been 6 games. 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 But Bobby, what's going on?
Look, would you believe me? I agree. It's been tough and frustrating at times. I get that. But would you believe me if I told you the Nats are in the top 10 in home runs in the league?
I would believe you.
They're in the halfway point in batting average. They're in the top. They're in the lower third in on base percentage. They're almost in the top 10 in slugging. And in the
top 10 as far as like 2 days ago too. I believe they were like 6th at one point.
And top 15 in OP, top half in OPS. So they're hitting, getting on base to an extent, just not at the right time. I think Davey Martinez's quote yesterday after the game when they got swept in Toronto was like, our bats show up. I'm paraphrasing, but basically saying our bats only show up like in the later half of the game. We have to realize there are 9 innings, so our bats need to show up all 9, not just 7, 8, 9 at the end of the game. And it has felt that way, right? Like it has felt like their bats only wake up, after the 6th inning or after the 7th inning stretch, whatever it is. And if they can somehow jump early on a team, that's going to be huge for them. And then maybe they'll start clicking. The averages and numbers with runners in scoring position is terrible. I think they're pretty much worse in the league in all of those categories when it comes with runners in scoring position. So they've got to clean it up in that sense. Because we talked so much about how this team needed to add power, and I think they had done that. Josh Bell hit a 3-run bomb on Sunday. Nathaniel Lowe hit a 2-run bomb. I think they will, especially Josh, might strike out a bunch. I think they can hit a lot of home runs. CJ already has 2. James already has his first. But
Key Bear
is mainly built for getting on base, getting them over, and getting them in. Like they're not the Yankees. They're not the Phillies. They're not the Dodgers. They're just not going to hit that many home runs. So they have to be able to drive runners in when they get to second base or third.
I think yes. And I think all those things are correct. And I read this piece the other day and it was kind of like, it kind of hit home a little bit in a sense. Like the Nationals are actually slugging at a pretty decent rate right now, much better than what they have been in the past few years. And Bobby, you know this, like you need to be able to hit for power nowadays. But then for whatever reason, it just has not translated to wins, and it has not come at the right time. Like, this team right now is hitting home runs, and it's just like how it just still doesn't look right. Paul DeJong, for instance, like, I expect him to show up and hit home runs. That's his job. He hasn't really done that at this point. Josh Bell, he had a big home run the other day on Sunday, I think, against the Phillies. That was huge. James Wood, the power has been there so far. I think James Wood is, again, as we talked about earlier, like, he's going to be a stud for this team. But on Wednesday's game, when you've dropped the first two games against the Toronto Blue Jays, and you go up against, let me check my notes again because I've never heard of this guy, Easton Lucas.
The only reason I actually knew who he was is because he was a one-time Orioles prospect for like a season, and then they traded him or something.
And like, I'm looking at him now, 14th round pick in 2019 out of Miami. What are we doing? Like, I was looking at his numbers. I'm like, and I saw someone on yesterday's show comment and be like, you said they were going to win this game. And I'm like, I thought they would. I'm like, I didn't think they were going to get swept. I'm like, you're going to get Easton Lucas. Like, he had an 11 ERA this past year. Like, surely the Nationals are going to get on board. 5 innings later, 0 runs, shoved against us. And I'm like, oh my God, it's happening, man. Like, it feels as if nothing is going the Nationals' way at this point. But then again, I'm like, you know what? This is just what baseball is. Like, this is kind of what it's about. Like, you have that random guy come in, and he just shoves it on you. I believe he was supposed to be an opener for them. I mean, he gave them 5 strong innings. The Nationals offense just could not get anything going. Actually, funny enough, Dylan Cruz hit some rockets there. And I mean, but as soon as they pulled him, then Abrams goes yard. Like, things start to happen. And then unfortunately, the way the Nationals lost was Jacob Young trying to take second base there. And I don't know, man. Like, things are just not going the Nats' way at this point, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, I think I have talked to guys about this because I always get a little skeptical or nervous. I don't want to say nervous. I mean, I'm a media member. I'm not supposed to be a fan, but whenever they face a guy like that, an unknown guy, and I've asked them before, like, is it more difficult going up against a guy like that than, say, like, a Zach Wheeler or an Aaron Nola who you've seen 1,000 times? And they're like, yeah, because you don't know what he throws. You can only learn so much off the scouting report. And if this guy has been like a lifelong minor leaguer, there's usually not a lot of video or good video of this guy. So you're not used to his arm slot, his arm angle, his tempo, whatever it may be. So while, yes, Zach Wheeler is like, a Cy Young candidate every single year, you at least have an idea of what he's going to try to do. With this guy, like a guy like Easton Lucas, I mean, you're just kind of rolling the dice when you go up there because you have no clue what he's going to do because there's not that lot of scouting report on him because he's, kind of a
Easton Lucas.
Easton Lucas, man. Add him to the guys who destroy the Nats for no reason Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be one of those names, like, in a few months from now, like middle of the summer, I hope the Nationals are like hovering around 500. And we're going to be on this podcast being like, do you remember when we were talking about Easton Lucas just shoving it on the Nationals? And meanwhile, it's like James Wood is like 25 home runs.
Yeah.
Paul DeJong is like 20 bombs to the deadline. We're going to get something nice for him. Brady House is knocking on the doors of the majors. Like, things are looking great. Josiah Gray, Cade Cavalli are coming back. Like, take me to that time, man.
Right, we got
right now.
Go. It's only game 7 tomorrow. So
it's game 7.
You know what? Like, we're gonna baseball's also a crazy thing. Yes, they're 1-5 right now. They might take 2 or 3 from the Diamondbacks. They can go out and sweep the Dodgers next week.
You never know. I know.
You can come into Nationals Park undefeated in the and leave with 3 losses because the Nationals will sweep them at home. Like, you just never know with this sport. That's why you play the games, and that's why I wait more than 5 games to make a determination on somebody.
I was talking with someone the other day at the station. We were just totally doomsdaying this thing with the Nationals, and we were like, oh my God, look at their schedule ahead. They've got the Diamondbacks, they've got the Dodgers. Then you play like the Marlins, and then shortly after that, it's the Orioles,
Their
the
April schedule is
Reds.
brutal.
It's a brutal schedule. And I'm like, oh my God, they are going to dig themselves in a hole. And one of the things that people have always said about Davey, and it's kind of true at this point, even dating back to 2019, is they get off to slow starts. So it's like, you know what, maybe this is what it is. Like, you know what, whatever. It's 162 games. But like, you start to look ahead, and let's say you get swept by the Diamondbacks this weekend. I mean, you got the Dodgers, and then
yeah, that's the thing too. Like, I mean, not to like completely steer the conversation on your show, but like, I'm not calling for anyone to lose their jobs, but
no,
because the Nationals have come out themselves, Davey Martinez leading the way and Mike Rizzo, because they have come out and said, this is the year we're going to start winning games and be competitive again. If that doesn't happen, then does something have to change? Like, I'm not calling for that. I'm just saying, like, you kind of put a target on yourself when you go out and say that publicly and then you don't follow up on it.
That's a great point. I did not even think of it that way, but yeah, that could happen. But Bobby, we're running out of time here. We got to preview the Diamondback series, and let's see. I think Corbin Burns is pitching on Sunday against this team, so obviously you know that name. But let's see if there's anyone else similar to. I already deleted the guy's name who pitched against us on Wednesday, so can't even tell you who it was. I mean, that's just how it was. But I know that he shoves against the Nationals, so we'll talk about pitching matchups with the Diamondbacks. But before I jump into that, I got to tell everybody about my friends over at Gametime. There's nothing better than catching an MLB game live, the crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the smell of ballpark food. And if you're looking to go last minute, Gametime makes getting tickets easier than ever. With last minute deals, all-in pricing, and lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets, and plus tickets drop as game time gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. I recently grabbed last minute tickets this past Saturday for the second game of the year against the Philadelphia Phillies. I was walking up on Half Street right before I got to the gate, opened up Gametime, got some last minute deals on our tickets. And of course, you can preview the exact seat before purchasing. There's no bad surprises. And take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. And again, terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And now we get back into it with Bobby Blanco from MASNsports.com. Bobby, we are taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks in a 3-game series, man. But I just want to say this before we get started. Tonight's game, if they get swept with Jake, you have Jake Irvin on the bump tonight. You have Brandon Pfaadt, who just got an extension, I believe, like last week. But the Arizona Diamondbacks, it's going to be a tough pitching matchup, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it's it's.
I'm looking
Brandon
for
Pfaadt
Saturday.
Tonight, Eduardo Rodriguez against Metro Parker on Saturday, and then Corbin Burns on Sunday. Hey, like we just talked about, like baseball's weird. This could be the time where the Nationals start hitting. It's gonna be tough. And we talked a little bit about their schedule. Like, outside of this upcoming road trip after this weekend, like this is a brutal schedule. They're playing everyone as contenders, except for the 3 teams they play on their 10-game road trip. So, where do you turn to for this Diamondbacks here? Are you turning towards the mound? Do you need to see better pitching, or do you need to see more offense? I'm looking at more offense, honestly.
Yeah.
And it is more difficult to do that against these starters. Corbin Burns is susceptible to the long ball. Now he faced the Yankees in his first start, so that's why, and they know him pretty well from his time with the Orioles last year. But I think with Jake pitching, Mitchell Parker is the only one with the win right now, so he deserves the benefit of the doubt. And hopefully Michael Soroka is healthy enough where he can go out and give you a solid outing on Sunday. But it really does not matter much if the bats don't show up. And if they go quiet, especially early on, we just talked about, you can't wait till the 7th inning to start putting together a rally. I know these starting pitchers are very good, but you at least got to make them work for it. Like, that's why I think going back to opening day, Keibert Ruiz's home run was so important. It was a 12-pitch at bat that he won against Zach Wheeler and essentially increased his pitch count and led to him getting knocked out of the game sooner than I think some expected, because he was on pace to go deep in that game, and he exited the same time Mackenzie Gore did with more pitches. So you got to make these guys work for it, and hopefully you get to them soon and get to this Diamondbacks bullpen, which I don't have a lot of numbers on in front of me, but they see the Nats seem to be better against relievers so far to start the season than against starters. So maybe that's the key right there.
Yeah, and I mean, to answer your question that you posed there, I like all the focus has got to be on the offense at this point. They got to generate runs outside of the long ball. They're gonna have to figure out to steal bases correct. Like, actually, Bobby, I hate to steer this way now, but because I haven't really talked about it too much on this show, but like the other night, or the other day rather, on Wednesday when the Nationals lost, we all know the way they lost. It was runners on the corners. I believe who was up there at that point? Was it who was up for the final at bat of the game? It was kind of the middle of the order there. Remember. Anyway, beyond the point, you have Jacob Young come in pinch run. We all know what he's going to do. With 2 outs, you're down by a run or 2 runs at that point. And he steals second base, and all of a sudden gets stolen. Alex Call was up to the plate. Okay, so that makes it a little bit different. But long story short, Bobby, what do you make of that decision to try to steal second base there?
I like the aggressiveness. I think Davey's quote after the game was like, "You have to be 100% sure," and I agree with him. But in that instant, like, I know you're the tying run, but you're also Jacob Young. Like, and I haven't never been to Rogers Center, but from watching a lot of Orioles games being played there, like, that outfield is big and the ball can skip to the wall pretty quickly because it's turf. So a ball into the gap or down the line, I kind of trust Jacob Young to go from first to home.
Yeah.
His speed. So I would have erred on the side of caution in that instant, in terms of like,
I would have also.
You're the tying run, like you can't get thrown out. Like, you're the most important runner on the base paths right now. So especially with 2 outs, if there was 1 out or no outs, go for it. I get it. But with 2 outs, you can't end the game getting caught stealing, especially with your speed. I think you can definitely go first to third, maybe even first to home on, any extra base hit.
Yeah. I thought that was an interesting decision. And yeah, I remember that answer was like, you have to be 100% sure. Like, I think you're going to take your chances with Jacob Young overall. Like, I mean, there's not many guys as fast as him in the bigs. So I just think it wasn't the best jump. In hindsight, like, if he stole that base, like, we would not be talking about this.
Well, I'm going to say, and it's one of those things where damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's one of those things, like, I'm going to take my chance with Jacob Young, but like, also immediately after that, like, I was like, why did he steal there? Like, and also it's kind of a joke, but like, not really. Also, I mean, it was only 1 game or 2 games at that point, but like, Alex Call's kind of killing the baseball right now, and he does put the ball in play.
He's going, like, I think he's got more walks than, like, technically at bats at this point. Like, he is just being so patient up there.
Yeah.
Have you noticed his walk bat flip?
Oh yeah, I have noticed that.
He like pimps his walks, which is
he likes it.
He does. He needs to be careful though, because if he does that to the wrong pitcher or overdoes it, he might be looking at a ball to his, behind him next time.
Yeah,
he likes walk, and he's good at it.
No, he is good at it, man. And you know what, Bobby, you're good at this too. You're good at this too.
You are too, Ryan. This is great.
It's fun, man. We could talk about this forever. We are way past our time. But Bobby, the people, they'll catch your work over at MASNsports.com. Nats Extra pre and post game, they can catch you there. So always appreciate the time, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's Nats 20 weekend. Also this weekend, they'll be retiring the 2005 team, or I guess adding them to the Ring of Honor tomorrow. And I'll be there covering the game and covering all the festivities. I hope to see you at the ballpark.
That's going to be awesome, man. I will be there on Saturday, actually. I will be there as a fan. So that'll be fun.
See you there.
I know. So you will see me, maybe a couple beers with me too. You
Hey.
never know. You never know. You never know.
Brian. I would love that.
You never know. All right, Bobby. That is Bobby Blanco from MASNsports.com. I'm Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11. But until then, enjoy the weekend. Nats, let's hit the ball.